morning from northern France. Bonjour. I'm here in Compiègne for the start of Paris-Roubaix to find out, is this the hardest one-day race, and is it too much in modern cycling? Well, we're gonna go talk to the riders. Let's go. Okay, the sign-in's down there. The buses are all parked in this beautiful square. There's of course, we're in France. There's a chateau, and right over here is Israel Premier Tech. There's a certain Canadian I want to speak to. Here he is, right here. Guillaume, you got a second. Of course, this is a hard race. You're out there bashing it. What makes this race so hard? The hardest one-day race, do you think?
Oh, I think it's obviously you need some good legs on the day, but also like your head and your mentality. You know, like it's rough to get to this level, and then when you get an opportunity in a big bike race, you need to grab. We want to grab it with both hands. So yeah, I think you need a lot of heart and strong legs.
Now we love this race, but if they were to invent this race today, there's no way they would have this. The roads are unsafe. Is it too much for modern cycling?
I mean, you don't have to come here, you know, like nobody's forcing you to be a pro cyclist, you know. I think it happens once in a year, and I think that's why it's beautiful, you know. It's like it's not like any other race on the season, so once a year is enough. I mean, in my opinion, we could do it twice a year, wouldn't be bad either. But yeah, it's a scary race. It's a scary race. I'm sure everyone's a bit kind of scared in the bus, but once the gun goes, we all get in the game, and yeah, we're just all fighting for those sectors.
See you in the velodrome. Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
See you. There we go. Such a good vibe this morning, especially coming off the heels of Alison Jackson's win, the Canadian who won in the women's race yesterday. Let's go find some more riders. Here we go over here, one of the big men, one of these guys that's well suited for this race. I'm talking about Alexander Kristoff. Let's see if we can grab him. Big guys like you love this race. It's a hard race though. What makes it the hardest race in cycling?
For me, it's not the hardest. It's harder with a lot of climbing for me personally, yeah. But here today is quite flat. But the tarmac, of course, makes it hard. You get pains different places, like in the hands and the rest of the body, maybe compared to other races. So it's more unusual, and it can get really hard when you get struggles with blisters and other stuff. Yeah.
Is this race too much for modern cycling?
Yeah, it's always a lot of problems for guys, you know. Also speed is higher now than 10-15 years ago, but still there's always one of the strongest riders winning, so it makes it also beautiful because you need to avoid a lot of trouble, at least in the critical parts, but some of the best guys will avoid it, so it's always a strong rider that win. Maybe not always the favorite, but always a good rider.
All right. Well, knocking them out. This team, a growing team, Uno X, a Norwegian team. Alexander Kristoff switched to the team for this 2023 season. And let's just briefly talk about this race. It's one of 5 monuments, the other one being Flanders, Milano-San Remo, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and Lombardia. Now there are 2 4-time winners. I'm talking about Tom Boonen and Roger de Vlaeminck, both Belgians. Last year, a Dutchman won, Dylan van Baarle solo, and that was also the fastest edition last year. So we're gonna roam around the pits now and see what else is out there. Is this race too much for modern cycling?
Nah. This is one of the races that you can handle with the limit. It's like this, you can change.
What songs are going to be going through your mind out there today? You mentioned punk rock. If this race had a song, what would it be?
God Save the Queen.
We are back at the Total Energy bus because I hope to speak to one of the former winners here in Paris-Roubaix. Yes, here he is, Peter. What makes it the hardest race for you? Is it that mental focus you have to have for 250 kilometers?
It depends, because you know, you never know. It could happen hell in the race, and it could happen anything, like nothing. Then you have to deal with things at the moment. And well, the hardest thing is maybe to deal with if you have experience. You know that it's gonna be hard anyway.
And you have that experience. That's, at least you have that.
A lot of times. Only once I was feeling good.
Enjoy it this race. Enjoy it this year. Thank you. Peter Sagan riding his final year in Paris-Roubaix, former winner, closing out a great career, world champion 3 times. All right, we're running for another Paris-Roubaix winner. I'm talking about Golden Greg, Olympic champion in Rio. And yeah, Paris-Roubaix winner. He should be over here at the AG2R bus. There he is right there. Greg, you got a sec? Is this the hardest one-day race in cycling? I know you've been trying for years to win Flanders. Physically and mentally, what is the hardest one-day race?
I think it's one of those, yeah. Of course, Liège, for me as a type of rider, is harder.
Yeah.
And Lombardie also, but that's because I'm quite too heavy. But I think in my range, it's one of the hardest ones. And Flanders, I feel quite easy at the finish. But Roubaix, it's strange because it's not that hard at some points, but it drains you out, and at the finish line you're really empty.
Is it right that we're still racing over him? I mean, this in modern cycling, this is too much.
No. I think it should be heritage, and I think it's kind of cool to still have this. And it's a great way. It gives charm also, and even in a small village, I always like it. And yeah, it's good to have them still, and I hope they keep them for many years. And it's also why people like to watch it on TV and to ride it, because it's kind of special.
See you at the finish. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Take care. Last year, your experience in Paris-Roubaix, what did you make of it? Was it the hardest race you've ever done?
It's definitely one of the hardest ones. Everyone has a story to say at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's hard to put it into words, just like how brutal these couples are. I think you saw yesterday, you got a glimpse of what they're like with the women's race. I think we have really good weather compared to a few years ago. But yeah, I think it's a really special day that everyone really looks forward to, especially if you're at home watching on the couch. But yeah, like I said last year, anything can happen.
That's right. See you in the velodrome. Thanks, mate.
Mate, what are the feelings this morning with this race? Is this the hardest one-day race? For you, what is the hardest one-day race?
Depending on what you look at, but this is definitely the most chaotic and for me the most fun.
It's the most fun. Do you love it or do you hate it?
No, I love it, yeah.
It's a special race, and for sure it's good that it's only once a year that we do this race, because it's really a shock to the body. It's better to race it than to do the recon or just ride here, for sure. There's always a lot of people as well, and that makes it a bit more comfortable, but yeah, it's always a hectic day on the road.
Well, there we have it. The riders are taking off. It's the beauty and the beast, the pain and the glory, the love and the hate. That's the unique Paris-Roubaix.